hit the LPL after our shenanigans around that previously. And we'll see how that's going to affect things. Vi still going to be banned away from Hung here. The Rumble taken off the board, which we've seen taking over. LEC has been on this patch. We've seen a lot of Rumble over there. But the Kai'Sa, the Maokai, still very standard, still the same as the previous patch.
Yeah, we'll see how things change, right? I've been watching a bunch of LEC recently because they've been on 13-13, and things like the LeBlanc still very close to, you know, basically 100% presence, things like that. So I'm curious about where priorities will lie, right? Nico also did get hit on this patch, so a little less priority on that. We'll see exactly how Fofo wants to prioritize those two picks. There's the LeBlanc ban, as we was kind of expecting. Still very, very high priority with Kai'Sa off the table as well. You do start to kind of lean into AD picks like the Xayah for first pick, or for jungle picks like Ivern, which hasn't been touched here in this first draft.
So Ivern available goes really well with these AD mid laners. So Fofo taking the Jace, but Tristana also available that can go well with the Ivern. Just whether or not Shanks wants to play the Tristana into Jace matchup. Whether they even want to go for the Ivern, because there have been carried, like Nocturne has had a bit of a sort of, I was going to say resurgence. I feel like he's been somewhat present throughout the year, at least in the LPL.
Just gaining more popularity, right?
Yeah, and certainly when you've got a player like Hung on your roster, I would love to see some presence there. But the Azir locked in for Shanks instead, playing towards the late game with a control mage and Sejuani for Hung.
Yeah, so there's that facilitator for Hung. Shanks on, honestly, his most coveted pick. Like, Azir, I think, gets banned by percentage the most against WE, so it's not often that he ends up with this pick in his hands. As there's the Ivern and the Jax there for EDG. So AD solo laners across the board for EDG. JJ rocking this Ivern. We'll see how he gets on. I typically love Ivern with these bruiser-esque picks like the Jax on the top side, so I hope he gets to facilitate up there, but also with some of those rework changes, of course, also works really well at just flat out protecting AD carries with that refreshable shield. W on the opposite side will lock in that Cassante, so a top lane matchup that we are super familiar with. And now it's about the bans and how what WE are willing to sacrifice, because they do have first pick on 4. You would expect that they're looking for a priority AD.
We'd certainly expect a Vayne getting been banned away, not something you'd expect usually, but they're against Uzi, so I can kind of see it. Maybe a Caitlyn ban, since we're against Uzi.
I mean, I think it's more about the fact that right now WE just don't have any point and click CC, right? So they're worried about finding the ability to actually shut down that Vayne. And without point and click CC, typically it can be very, very difficult, and you never know what Iwandi's willing to pull out, especially if he gets counterpick, right? He's the kind of guy that will whack out something like Jenna, so you don't want to give Uzi that much AD freedom. So I like that the niche call out comes through, and they're also going to remove away the Ashe, which is something that Uzi has also been favoring a lot.
Yeah, Uzi big on the Ashe, and we're getting into murky territory when it comes to AD characters. Kai'Sa's been queen there. We've got the Ashe taken off of the board. Things like the Varus still available. You can still very much go for the AP build. It got changed slightly, but it's still very much viable. But then Aphelios got absolutely gutted on this patch. So whether or not teams are still willing to fall back on Aphelios like we've seen over the course of the year. I mean, Xayah, it is still up and available. Unless I'm losing my mind, I'm kind of surprised we're not seeing Xayah locked in.
Nope, you're not. And I feel like if hope goes towards this Jinx, which he will, surely Varus just comes in, right?
Hey, I mean, Jinx doesn't do well into Xayah either, right?
No, it does not. It's not necessarily the best like lane matchup off the top of my head. I'm not like the AD savant here, but I'm pretty sure people were very, very happy to pick Xayah into Jinx for the laning phase at the very least. As now it's all about Iwandi's pick, and he's going to lock in Janna game 1. I mean, okay.
Right. For anyone who's not like an old school LPL head, Iwandi came into the league as a Janna one-trick. That was his reputation as a fresh player in the league. We get vintage Iwandi here as he brings out that Janna once more. And you can imagine, like, I don't know the matchup super well between Janna and Rakan. How often do you see a Janna in the last like 5 years of League of Legends? But I imagine the Tornado, if you could use it well, very good at denying that Rakan engage. I don't know. What do you think of these two compositions here, Jamada? Because I feel like WE, they're basically saying, you stay away from us, we're playing at range.
I mean, to talk quickly on that Janna Rakan matchup, very easy to disengage typically, right? The W is moderately telegraphed, so it's very easy. But I think the fact that EDG generally don't actually have that much hard engage outside of the Rakan, the Janna pick is actually going to have huge yields in terms of just resetting the fight like Janna used to do in old days of League of Legends, right? So I feel like for WE, not having that much engage outside of just the Sejuani isn't going to be a big issue, because you always know the fact that EDG are so limited in that regard. They're going to have to look for flanks EDG, and that should set up for WE to always have things like priority, because they've got the Azir into the Jace in the mid lane. I feel like WE have set themselves up quite well in terms of how objectives can be played out. They just have to ensure that they're not really getting eaten up by Ala and ensuring that they shut down his ability to actually get on top of Hope in some of these team fights.
We'll see if Ala can find those flanks. Like, flanks are going to be crucial, like you say, for EDG. So a lot of it is going to come down to the vision game for EDG as well. So often when we talk about flanks, it's all about how well WE will be able to ward for themselves and how well EDG can play around pockets of vision, how sneaky Ala can get. This is going to be an interesting one to start us off here. And I feel like a lot of pressure on both of these teams' shoulders. For EDG, they brought Uzi back from their rival organization. EDG playing with Uzi. I mean, how crazy was that earlier in the year? And now in the first round of playoffs, they don't have a double elimination to fall back on. So pressure is on for EDG to show us that this roster can work. And for WE, like, not only are they trying to change history for the organization, it's been a long time since WE were a big name, and the last time it was kind of a tragic end to playoffs as they sort of fell out and then didn't manage to make it out of regionals. A 0-12 streak at the end of playoffs last time they made it anywhere further. They want to change that. But on top of that, in their home arena today, you got to believe WE are here to play, and especially with Iwandi bringing out the Janna.
Story set up for them, isn't it? In this game number one, a lot of comfort picks across the board. I feel like picks that typically are denied away from them. And we'll see whether or not that pays off dividends as we get into game one, and the gyros are ringing as loud as I think I've heard them in the Xi'an arena.
The fans are out in force today, that's for sure. Some little bonus gyros at the end there. Iwandi, you can see the observers highlighting him on his signature Janna. I'm excited to see some of the mechanics there, but I have to say Cube as well got that K'Sante. I think that's a more important pick than people will realize, because, you know, K'Sante in the top lane, oh wow, very surprising. But actually, Cube has played 4 times more K'Sante than any other pick in his champion pool. He's got 16 games on K'Sante. This will be his 17th. He's next most played is Xi'an on 4 games. So while K'Sante in itself is not that exciting of a pick, for WE, this is absolutely their bread and butter. This is the pick that they need in that top side.
This is like their version of, like, I don't know, having like an Irelia or a Riven in the top lane for WE. But yeah, for Cube, he has had way too many games on this K'Sante, and I'm surprised he's not been forced off it more often, but he's very powerful, and he's in a matchup which I'm sure he's very familiar with, because Jax is actually also a pick that, if you're familiar with Cube, you will kind of think about as, ooh.
Oh, okay, so we've got an Ivan, we've got an Ivan. Instantly invades.
This is one of the weaknesses of Ivan, and also JJ might not know about this because he's not put a ward down in his blue, he's not figured any of that out, so he's done his regular clear. That's what JJ is going for right now. The smite's also still available for Hunt. So the problem here for JJ is that he's going to mark his 2 camps here. He might also go down to Krugs, but it's pretty uncommon. And then he's going to walk back up, and his blue buff's just not going to be there. So that's going to be a camp down for Hung. It's actually about whether or not he can steal away the Gromp as well. He's still got smite, so he might be able to sneak away 2 camps.
Jamala, it's worth mentioning as well that, yeah, he's going to go get his wolves, but look at JJ's health bar. He's not exactly healthy right now. 2 camps stolen away.
Yeah.
Doesn't look like Hung wants the 1v1 here, and JJ, I think, realizes what's just happened. Goes for an auto. Knows that his laners could come in, so Hung decides to back away. But what a great start for the Sejuani. Hung all over the matchup. Great
pathing, and an excellent understanding of how Ivern works as a champion as well. We have not seen Ivern punished on his first clear. Any game that I've watched of Ivern in it in competitive play so far since it's been back, I've just not seen it punished. So good job, Hung. Good preparation from WE as a whole. And also EDG just not really looking to protect the camps at all in a capacity. No wards, no information gained. Now that will just be an advantage for Hung. And we're going to have to track how he actually looks to protect it and continue to keep JJ down as well.
Yeah, JJ now up against it, but does have those, you know, 80 solo lanes that Ivan loves to play through. Ivan in an extremely strong spot in 13-13. So even with this, you know, bad first clear with Hung very much heads-up play there. Still don't count JJ out of the game just yet. Fofo trading aggressively, but Shanks evening things up as JJ going to go for that Scuttle Crab. Trade across the map. 4 crabs here. Hung now moves towards the bottom side. There is a ward in that tri-brush, and I think he will be spotted, but not.
He's going to avoid it. There's a ping. They know it's there. You can see from the marker on the on top of the ward. So he's actually probably just going to wait. We don't actually get to see the timer, but he can see the timer. So as soon as it actually drops out, he's going to just look for this gank.
This is a masterclass of an early game from Hung. Not only has he absolutely decimated JJ in terms of farm, but now he's snuck into the tri-brush. Uzi and Mako, if they play too aggressive, they could be in big trouble. Iwandi stepping on forwards. Uzi the target. Knockup is there. The chain CC is fantastic, but Hope is getting low himself. Stun should come through onto Uzi, but actually it's Iwandi in trouble. Flashed on and taken down. EDG in a 2v3 and they get one, but it's turned around now. Uzi walks under the tower. And my goodness, I don't know how they pulled that off, but EDG in a 2v3 find one.
I'll tell you how, when Hung went in, that first W, the actual, the pointy bit, didn't actually connect onto Uzi, so he didn't get the immediate stacks and the additional slow. Meant that the chase down was a little bit too difficult, and the feather pullback connects onto Iwandi, so the damage was there. You can see once the knockup comes in, Hung, I'm not sure if he misses or if Uzi barely sidesteps. It's the knockback from the Q, I think, plus a little bit of misaim from Hung. Then the feather pullback comes in. Iwandi eats too much damage, and the turnaround is there. They're able to take down Mako at least, but yeah, Hung, a little bit unfortunate, but also just kind of missing at the same time.
Yeah.
And so they end up 1-for-1 instead of what should have been a very clean gang.
And I feel like that is just like a perfect case study on my view of WE's split, where like the macro, the game plan there is immaculate from Hung, right? Like the early invade into the gank on the bottom side, like everything looks so good. And then when it comes to the actual execution, when it comes to, you know, things going wrong during a play, it doesn't feel like there's that depth there to WE. And Hung will manage to get the 1 kill, but I mean, first blood for EDG's bottom lane. Luckily for WE, it went to Mako, not Uzi. That could have been worst case scenario if Uzi picked up the kill.
Yeah, it would have been quite frustrating, right? Especially considering Uzi's the one that gets out in the play. His ultimate dropped by Arla, but Cube's likely to just look to disengage. My goodness me. There's a little burst there as JJ not going to get the cast off. So that's the thing with Ivern. When you mark camps as Ivern, if you get damaged in the middle of it, you get to it gets interrupted. I guess Hung just didn't want to, you know, walk back in the bush and check and just make sure JJ wasn't marking the camp.
I just love that it's like the way that Ivern could, like, we always see junglers fighting over Raptors, but the way Ivern fights over Raptors is very different than any other jungler. He's like, I'm over the camp so I can channel for a second. Yeah, and then just one-shots the entire camp. Like, contest this. Yeah, here we go, though. An answer on the bottom side as EDG look to make the play. Iwandi, no flash available, and Jana is squishy. The wind can't help you now. As Hope could be trouble as well. Does have his flash, but needs to be good in the reactions. There we go. Dodges away from the roots. And will keep himself safe. But hey, we talked about worst case scenario. If Uzi could get a kill, well, there's a kill for Uzi.
Yeah, exactly, and Hope has to blow his flash. Unfortunate for Hope, when the knockup went through onto Iwandi, the Glacial was actually slowing Hope, so he couldn't actually get away as quickly as he would have liked in this play. But it's realistically about the vision here, right? That control not clipping Mako or JJ as they hug the wall. Not sure if they knew or if they're just taking the most efficient path that they can. Either way, great flash Q from JJ to lock down Iwandi, and that kill's confirmed. But you can see that Hope kind of just held up a little bit by that Glacial, and the fact that he is means that by the time the chase down starts, Mako having the pop seed on him from the Ivern actually still is able to get in range and slow him and forces the flash out of him. They weren't able to get the dragon, and that is one thing. Before level 6, Ivern's not really the best dragon taker in the world, right? Once you have level 6, then you've got Daisy, so life is a little bit easier, but until then, even though there is a lot of pressure being put down onto the bottom side from EDG, I don't necessarily expect they're going to be able to actually secure a dragon unless there is massive amounts of priority gained. Daisy has actually just been unlocked by JJ, just underneath the 8-minute mark, so good from him. Maybe they'll look for it now, and it seems like that will be the case.
So EDG, they're going to start this streak off. So far, so good. And we said, you know, it's important for JJ to get back in the game after that, you know, early bit of back and forth between him and Hung. It feels like he's well and truly back in, right? With that gank in the bottom side now with the Drake, feels like JJ back into things. We highlighted the jungle matchup is crucial, but Hung ain't done just yet. Wants to move up to that top side, but I don't know if he's going to find an opportunity. Hope could be in trouble, but Flame Chompers keeps him safe from Mako. JJ wants to set up a dive here. The rocket comes out. Hope doing his best to play around these players. There's no minion wave for the dive, but Daisy will do. It sets it up and Hope's taken down. Those feathers don't tickle.
Oh God, it's so broken sometimes, isn't it? You can't really do anything 3 versus 1 anyway, but the fact that Daisy's able to tank up the tower there just makes that dive pretty much one way you can't trade back ever. They do get the Herald on the opposite side of the map, so WE lose out on the Dragon. They do lose Hope, and Uzi is actually not going to hit on that tower for any place or anything like that, so it is just kill trade, but Uzi's already got the Kraken Slayer. He's at 1 item already. I don't think EDG are too upset about losing this Herald on the top side.
I don't think they care at all, to be honest. Because, like, when you think about where WE would even put the Herald, do you really want a Herald for Cassandre? Not particularly. It doesn't feel that great. I mean, it's better than nothing. As here we go. Cube pulling Ala over the wall here, and Hung is in the area, but misses the W once again. Ala will get stunned up here. Should be finished off.
No.
No, wait. The shield comes in. Ala still surviving. Okay. Take him down. Cube gets the kill. That got way too scary,
dude. Like, the execution was just getting more botched and botched, and I saw JJ walking up with the shield. I was like, no way he gets out of this, right? They do take him down in the end. A little bit spooky by the end of the play, but at the end of the day, the kill was still secured. WE, though, I think because that takes so long, if they were planning to put that Herald down in the top side after killing off Ala, it's no longer really a big option, as we'll get a replay look at how that one kind of unfolded, and it's just about Ala kind of going in, good dash back, and then reposition with the Pathmaker into the over the wall with the all out, but then Q flashed over by Ala. I think the initial W also missed from Hung, so just about everything flies wide, and eventually Hung even commits the ultimate amidst all of this as well. That's where the stun actually comes from. JJ gets close enough to drop the shield, but definitely not enough shielding at this point in the game to actually keep Ala alive in a situation like that.
Whew. Messy to say the least, but hey, WE did get that kill. Herald wasn't used in the top side. You can see Hung hovering down towards the bottom lane for the time being. I feel like the game plan for WE surely has to be shut down Uzi at this point. He's 2-0-1. He's got his Kraken Slayer already. He's 10 CS up. You've got a Herald to use. I feel like you'd love to get that behind Hope, a player that we've seen can play at the real top level in LPL. We saw that when he was on JDG, and Hope used to be on EDG. You'd love for him to be the big carry.
Yeah, back in 2020, this was where he was, and he was on their academy for a long time, right? So for him, it would be nice to, you know, at the very least, if not win, have a very solid showing today. But you want that W. You want to move on through the playoffs, as we have unfortunately hit a pause, hopefully a brief one.
Yeah, we'll have to see what the issue is with the pause, and we'll update you guys as soon as we can. But so far, actually quite an action-packed game here between the two teams. I kind of came in, you know, first game of playoffs, a lot of pressure on the teams. My expectation was a little bit of like, okay, very passive game number one. We often see in best of fives, game number one, a little tentative, a little unsure. It does feel like Hung came in with a clear game plan, trying to invade, then trying to make things happen in bot. Didn't really work out. Execution hasn't necessarily been there for WE so far. Whereas EDG, I feel like they've had the read on how WE are trying to play this early game and have done a great job of A, answering it, but then B, setting up Uzi for the win.
Yeah, they've done a really good job so far. You would expect that they continue to try and funnel resources into him, right? I'm more curious about the comeback in terms of shutting down that win condition from the perspective of WE. You know, Uzi's not running cleanse. He's got flash and he's got heal. He's playing fully for lane with those summoner spells. As Hung is the only engage, the reality of the situation is Uzi is only really looking to prioritize using the ultimate, the Featherstorm, to dodge out on that Sejuani ultimate. So W need to find ways to try and blow that ultimate before they actually look for an engage, like a full-fledged engage. But I feel like it's going to be tough when you only really have Sejuani as the only real source, right? Other than that, you're maybe hoping Shanks can like find a shuffle in at like an opportune moment. But even in saying that, you'd probably prefer that the guy stays back and gets in the DPS, right? This new Azir, since the W max has become the norm and some of the numbers have been shifted around, absolutely pops out the damage. So you don't really want Shanks committing in and potentially dying. As speaking of commitments, EDG might be committing to this bot side play. Hope has already been dove once. JJ has Daisy, and they could certainly make a play work, but at the very least, if it's not a dive, they're just going to make him miss a bunch more CS.
Scrum taken as Mako does need to dash out of there, and like you say, Hope missing a lot, and ult comes out here. Daisy to answer is Uzi. forced to use the Feather Storm. That's enough for them to get out, though. And Hope now over the 10 CS down. But it's the kills that are really the big lead, and those tower plates as well. Uzi now with 3 plates in his pocket. I don't know if they're all solo plates, but certainly a boatload of gold there for Xi. I would love to look at the gold difference between AD carries right now, because I feel like it is a lot bigger than it looks.
Yeah, it probably is, and I'm sure we'll get a look at some point, but I think the bigger factor is because Hope obviously went into those tier 2 boots as well, right? Uzi just paced for a PF sword, so not only is he a full item completion up, he's the extra full EAD on top of that Kraken Slayer.
God.
So it's
Hope didn't even
ridiculous.
finish an item.
Yeah, it's not the best look in the world if you're a WE supporter right now. So I'd say look away, but the rest of the map isn't doing too bad. Everyone's picking up their first items now. So for WE, yes, you know that gold difference between Hope and Uzi is huge, but it's being made up in other areas, right? This top side of the map, for example, Cube already has his mythic. He's got a whole bunch of plates off of this tower, so he's doing well in this 1v1, but he's got to translate it to those team fight wins, right? He's got to actually ensure that he's putting down pressure on top of Uzi specifically in this case, once we actually get around to those bigger 5v5s.
Yeah, it feels like Cube having a really good time. 3 plates up on the top side. Big CS advantage for him. Similar story in the mid lane. While the CS isn't super favorable for Shanks, he's managed to get a couple of plates off the back of the Herald that we saw Hung drop for that Azir. And we all know that Azir, later on in the game, can be an absolute monster. JJ also managed to get that Scuttle Crab. So Hung wants to start the Drake off anyway. EDG got the first of the game, but WE don't want to let the second one go without a fight. Mako trying to move in alongside JJ. Daisy now will be thrown into the play. TPs from both top laners. We've got a 5v5 on our hands here, Jamada, as Ala has to use the counter-strike early just to keep himself alive. Smite onto Daisy here. Hung's Smite is currently on cooldown. This is no longer a good Drake for WE. Oh, I don't know if that was good play, Hung. As now WE try to bustle their way in. This is so wonky.
They're buying time, though. I mean, the issue is if they start to give up ground, the EDG can burst down the dragon, and there is still no Smite for a couple more seconds. It's going lower, 2k.
They're going into the pit here. Hung is so low, though, and Mako with the quickness to find him all out onto Mako to pull him back out of play, but he dives back in, and JJ gets the Smite. Azir, though, popping off. EDG still 4 retreating now. Featherstorm out from Uzi as he dashes back away. It's 1v4, and it's absolute carnage as Hope tries to chase for more, but he can't find it.
It's a 1-for-1
overall.
How the hell was that a 1-for-1 at the back of this? It's Hung for Mako. EDG also got the dragon. I think amongst that mayhem, I think the dragon started to reset and it messed up the execution for Hung on the Smite. Let's get a look at it in the replay because this is so weird, right? So Smite still on cooldown, 5 seconds, starts to get bursted, then it's the commitment from both ends, right? I think what tries to be had here is Cube tries to bring both Ala or one of those people out. It resets at the very last second. That's so rough for Hung. EDG will get that second dragon. Whoa! Cube's Pathmaker as well. He tried to dash. I'm not sure if he was rooted. Maybe it was by the Ivern, but that looked odd as well. Very unfortunate fight for WE because I feel like outside of Daisy being smitten away, they honestly didn't play that too terribly.
Honestly, the whole first game here for WE, it feels like if just little things go differently, it's a very different position in the game. Herald going to be taken here. WE grab it. Mako doesn't want to let him get away with it, but everyone's got a million dashes on this roster. So they'll be able to get out over the wall. And actually denying a recall from Ala as well. A little bonus for Hope, knowing that there's no fights coming up. So happy to use that ultimate.
Yeah, exactly. Not too fussed about flinging that one out. So WE got the second Herald, so it's still technically, it's been Herald to Dragon so far. Mako looking for Hung. Hung dodging out, should be able to just walk this one home, but it's all about this Scuttle Crab, you gotta get Ivern his Scuttle, man. Can't let that one go over. There's Cube. Is he looking for here? Information? Is he looking for a dive?
I mean, he's got all out available. If Uzi steps into the wrong place there with Cube on a flank, this could be huge. Herald to take the tower here. This Cube now threatens to move in. Mako on the front line here. Shield will keep him safe as Herald does get a second charge. WE will be happy with that, even if they don't try and find that flank ultimately. Still managing to get a tower and a half. That's not too shabby. And also could deny the Herald, although Fofo on the top side is enough for Hung to back away.
Yeah, and tier 1 is also really, really important. I talk about this a lot, but when you have that tier 1 down super early, it gives you the ability to catch those mid waves ups a lot higher than the opponent can afford to, right? And then at that point, you can rotate into Fog of War quicker. You can set up vision, and then it turns into a bit of a game of cat and mouse where you know, as EDG, then once you eventually do catch that wave, but you're catching it deeper into your side of the map, you have to check into that fog of war, and life is a lot harder and into things like the Sejuani with, you know, a fair amount of CC that can be chained in with it. As EDG members, remember, there's no true, you know, dedicated tank on this EDG side, right? It is basically just kind of, you know, Jax as the bruiser with the Ivern to back him up and the Rakan. These members can get bursted out quite quickly, so we'll see how EDG manage that and whether or not WE try and take advantage of that tier 1 that they've just picked up.
And I mean, on top of that, you mentioned no true tank on the side of EDG. They're against the Azir Jinx. It's not like this roster is going to be lacking damage later on from WE. So when it comes to those front-to-back fights, if the fight is extended, it certainly start to favor WE in that situation. It goes back to what you were saying before. Ala needs to find flanks. We're keeping our eyes on Vision for this game. It's a minute and a half till Chemtech Drake comes up onto the map, and that previous Drake, you know, full 5v5 for that one. EDG with 2 on the board as well. WE don't want to let this one go without a fight.
No, they really don't. And our biggest concern would have been, would Ala actually hit, not Ala, I'm looking at Ala on the side. Would Uzi hit second iron? We'll have to pause because, I mean, play.
Yeah, let's talk about Ala because he's taken down. I mean, that was beautiful from Cube. Just pulls him out from the tower, and Shanks just gets a kill on a silver platter. This is here very much the carry for WE at this point in the game.
EDG might have been caught out with their pants down a bit here because, I mean, they can trade onto this top side. Cube might actually have to forfeit his life. Does have flash, but ooh, Root.
I think Flash literally just came up as he went for it there. Manages to survive at least. As Tower in danger in the bottom side, but Uzi's going huge. Hung healed, saved by Iwandi. The Summoner healed, the Monsoon, everything used. Rocket flying across the map. Oh, but it's wide.
All right, wide, but crucially, Uzi, no ultimate, but so many ultimates blown across the map with 20 seconds left on this Dragon. I don't think it's being contested or taken straight away. Teams are going to be quite slow to this, but when you take a bit of a zoom out, right, the vision is set up for WE. They've got a ward here in this mid lane, so they know who's going to be catching the wave or who's going to be rotating in from maybe a weird angle, and they've got vision across the bot side jungle. They're already here with this teleport, so maybe they look to just outright burst it. We'll see whether or not EDG are actually able to fully get their numbers involved in this fight. Because, I mean, with the DPS carries here, I think it's just gone.
Yeah, they won't be able to get here in time. That's going to be a Drake for WE. And they'll be thanking their lucky stars for that. Remember, Chemtech Soul as well. That's going to benefit WE. You've got a Sejuani, you've got a Cassante. Those tanky members that can really utilize that damage reduction. And now up towards the Baron side. And again, that conversation of vision comes into play. It is a Chemtech Rift, which always makes the vision game a little funky because those Scryer's Blooms will not only cover more ground, but also make the wards 1 HP. So very easy to clear vision.
Yeah, if you start to take control of the map and you have more of those available as well, it's just easier, right? To deny vision and keep vision on your own side. Also, a point of note, I feel like when you've got those individual Chemtech Dragons as well, even the Janna gets value right from the shield and heal power, and of course the Ivern does. So you want to try and keep those away
to
from EDG's end as well.
Janna's kind of the best champion in the game for the individual ones.
There's probably not
she's got
many
heals,
more,
she's got shields. Like what else? What name a champion that has more healing and shielding? I guess maybe Seraphine, but no, I'd still favor Janna.
I don't know,
Uni,
man.
maybe?
Nah, I think you haven't seen Seraphine in long enough. That's what I'm gonna say. We had some Seraphine. Now, I don't recall the Seraphine looking the best. I think it was Team Heretics with Flacker. But like Seraphine, when it hits, man, I'm telling you, I'll let you know right now. Shield and heal, it's pretty good. It's very, very strong.
I'm actually I'm a bit of a dirty Seraphine enjoyer as an AD carry. I feel like she's actually low-key cracked in solo queue if you're willing to farm up. But that's a conversation for a different day. Rushes created in the mid lane for EDG to fight for priority here. And I'm loving that we get some Ivern for day number 1 of playoffs. JJ, a player that's been criticized this split on EDG, showing that he's still flexible. Hung uses the ultimate. Uzi's in trouble. Featherstorm actually having to come out. Rocket available for Hope. If he can find the target, but Mako dodges it, or blocks it, sorry, for now. Hope certainly getting some damage online, slowly but surely closing the gap between him and Uzi. Still half an eye behind.
Yeah, the question is he chunked out enough to, oh my god, I want these health bar, that WE feel like they're willing to go back towards a Baron, or do they just want this tier 2? It seems like it's the latter. They want to siege up on this, they've got the range advantage, and they will secure this tier 2 off that poke onto Uzi.
This is kind of crazy. Like, Uzi and Fofo both hitting 2-item spikes. Like, on the scoreboard, you would say EDG are strong right now, but WE the ones pushing forwards and pressuring. They get a tier 2 in the mid lane, and then using that Sun Disc to protect themselves as they can move up and clear vision around Baron.
I mean, when you zoom out, really, it's just a difference between Hope and Uzi, which is like the big issue, right? That's really where the problem actually is. But outside of that, you know, Cube is up an item. Arla wasn't even at that exchange. Shanks has 2 items, and he's very hard to actually take down when you've got the Janna there as well. So everything kind of lines up for WE to be able to contest 1-to-1. All right, for now, right? And it seems like Hope is recovering well. He's not that far away from Gale Force when you really start to do the numbers. So WE have recovered really well from what could have been a very disastrous early game, but EDG are responding in the mid lane. They want this tier 1, and Arla's on a bit of a flank angle.
Yeah.
Not willing to commit though, Joe.
But again, struggling to get a deep flank. And EDG run out of minions, not willing to commit Daisy to the play to try and finish that tier 1 tower. And again, because WE got not only the tier 1, now a tier 2 as well, as take a look at what happened in the mid lane here. Flash towards the Sun Disc, yeah. So, flash on cooldown for Hope. Mako in the Baron pit. He's awfully lonely on the top side of the map right now. Mako, I know you're on Rakan, but he's still got to be a little cautious.
Can't afford to overstep, especially if this is in the case of K'Sante. If K'Sante is around, then he's always going to be able to slow you down quite aggressively. Hung's not going to be able to stop the base there of Mako. And actually, does Hung have Q? Is he waiting on cooldown for that? Because Fofo could maybe burst him out. Yeah, has to take that step back, but it gives this window for Shanks to just sneak that tower away and glide out to safety. Good stuff from WE again, and now Dragon, 60 seconds time, Joe. When we, again, look towards items, right? Hope might look to reset relatively soon for that second item. And sure, Uzi's got the Last Whisper. It's a fairly powerful component as well, right? It's 18% armor shred, or armor penetration, rather. You know, at that point, you're still as close to even as you could hope to be at this kind of timer, considering how that early game went for you down there.
Hope just finishing off Wolves there, moving towards red buff. I think they're trying to get him just that last little bit of gold for the reset, but it's 20 seconds until Drake. He's not going to have time to go back before that comes up, unless you can stall somehow. Cube trying to defend the tower, shield on it from iWandi as well. This Mako's just pulled into the play. Hung with an ultimate rocket across, but Mako survives. Thunderstorm from Uzi as well. A lot used by both teams to try and make the play happen. Daisy taken down, but EDG walk away with their lives. Leaning towards the Dragon, but complete vision dominance on the top side from WE. Baron could be on the cards if they can clear vision in the pit.
Yeah, exactly. EDG don't have their crucial ultimates up and available, whereas WE still have the reset team fight abilities up, right? Things like the Monsoon from the Janna and the Wall from Azir, the Emperor's Divide, means that for WE, if they go to look towards this Baron, they could very easily reset and disengage on a team fight that EDG tried to engage on. Hope has that reset, so he's got the Gale Force now. That's huge.
Yeah.
And with both objectives still up, this means that WE can realistically fight on even grounds, right? I mean, we're still only 200 gold apart for both of these teams.
I was about to say, we are dead even in gold in a game where we've got these late game carries available. In the AD carry role, we've got a lot of potential for big 5v5s here, and I'm loving every second. And even though there's only 8 kills on the scoreboard, like, it doesn't feel like that. These teams have been posturing for a fight all game long. Mako on the front line here. No summoners for him. Well, I guess he's got Ignite, but it's not exactly going to help him get out there. As Hung, very aggressive positioning, trying to cut off this wave so that his team can get priority. Might have overstepped, though. TP going to come on through. Flame Choppers to answer it. Knockup is there. Ala, you've stepped way too far forwards, my friend, but Hung wired on the ultimate. Good flash from Ala. And he keeps himself safe as the Sun Disc comes up once more.
Yeah, a lot of healing as well. Redemption comes down again from JJ. Do W really feel like doing this? This one ward on the Pixel Brush.
Yeah, there's no sweep
a fair amount of information.
There we go, control ward comes out. Denies vision. Mako onto Hung here. Bit of damage onto Mako to return it. Baron will be peeled off of as EDG kind of like the look of this fight. They're muscling in. Ala trying to get himself on the flank. He's got a Mega Blast Cone to use as well.
Oh,
Cube, Hope, iWandi all in trouble as Ala flies into the play and Mako alongside him. But iWandi on the peel. In the meantime, K'Sante on the backline. And there's Shanks to make it happen. Uzi pulls the feathers, but they only tickle this time. 5-7, but WE on the Baron.
I said that Monsoon was still available from iWandi, and the reset on the team fight is excellent. And Shanks' Emperor's Divide isn't used defensively, it's used to wipe EDG off the map. With JJ dead, this Baron should all be but confirmed. Fofo not able to land the poke. Joe, WE have secured themselves the Baron.
Shanks, the franchise player for WE, he had a fantastic early game, and now, in the most important fight of the game so far, swoops in to make the play. iWandy with fantastic PO Cube, setting it all up, and then Shanks gets the slow ball and smashes out a home run. Absolutely clean.
There is a reason why Azir is the most banned mid laner against WE. It's for moments like that. It often feels like if a team is struggling against WE in a series, when it comes to that game 3 in the regular season, they'll just remove away the Azir. And this is a moment as to why WE now with the Baron secure this second Chemtech Dragon. They'll look to try and siege up on some of those tier 2s still up and available. And I mean, the idea from Arla is nice, right? But it's just the Monsoon timing plus the Q. It's actually more the Q. So that's more prep from iWandy. They just can't move. And then Shanks comes in. It's a 3-4-man ultimate, I think, 3-man. And it's just a complete mosh pit as Ivern, as soon as you get knocked in there as well, you're no longer able to keep your carries alive.
They're absolutely loving it. Four horse in the coaching room there as WE now start to siege to the bottom side. And I feel like this Janna was a stroke of genius from WE. It perfectly answers both the Rakan and the Jax. And Jace just can't win the ranged war against both the Jinx and the Nazir. Speaking of, he's locked up here. Goes back in onto Hung, I think by accident. That was the Ivern dash. And it doesn't quite feel like this Ivern pick has worked out in the way that EDG wanted it to.
No, it hasn't. It's not been able to enable the solo lane specifically here of EDG, and for Uzi as well. He's not really been able to keep him, you know, alive every single time. He's only died once, but it feels like, you know, these engagements have been really awkward. It's been about Uzi having to blow the Featherstorm super early. He's not been set up for a proper front to back just yet. And W have done a good job at denying that, right? It's been a lot of, you know, pick, a lot of poke, a lot of chucking out CC like this from the side of WE as they force EDG back into their base. With one inhibitor down, they want this mid lane inhibitor as well.
See if they can find it. Sundisk helps so much with this. When you've got a Baron plus Sundisk, like, it's impossible to deal with this siege. The cannon's just hammering away. Still got 30 seconds on the clock when it comes to the Baron, as well as Allah actually goes in underneath the Sundisk, just CC'd up and cut down. And like Allah feeling like he needed to make something happen, feeling like the game was just slowly bleeding out, but that was not the way. He needs to find a flank, not just charging forwards. Mako, next target. Good knock up there from iWandy, but Cube low here. Redemption for the rest of the team from EDG. Is there help? But Monsoon on the other side, healing on both sides. We'll just stop
Mako
and top off for a second as Mako low on HP. What? These fights are so long and so non-committal from both teams.
I mean, that's the thing. You've said it, right? Non-committal. There is not a single bit of committal engage outside of Mako having that ultimate, right? So everything is just always super awkward. It's very touch and go. And with the amount of, you know, healing and shielding on both sides from both iWandy and Shejie, it's very difficult if you're playing at this style where you're kind of just poking and prodding, right? It's like two boxers kind of in first round looking to just find jabs on each other and see and look to expose, you know, weak spots here. That's how these fights are going.
It does feel that way, but the thing is, that's exactly what WE wants. They love a non-committal long-range fight. They've got the sustain there from iWandy. He's now got redemption as well. They've got, I mean, pretty much everything going their way when it comes to those long, non-committal fights. When it comes to Azir just being able to play with his range, with Hope having those rockets available, who, you know, that gold difference between the ADCs, sure, Uzi's still slightly ahead, but what's a BF sword once you're on 3 items as a Jinx? You're not really too worried about that anymore. As Hung knows he can just muscle into the jungle now, knows that his carries have the advantage. Finally, for the first time this game, pretty much, we've got a substantial gold lead in favor of WE.
Yeah, exactly, right. We'll see with this gold lead that they have now, which has been even for so long. They can open up this mid lane. I think they're going to need Baron. I feel like there's just about enough wave clear from the side of EDG as Facial Prison going to connect onto Fofo, but it will mean that they have to seed this tier 2 on the top side. Now, the last turret outside of the base for EDG, that as EDG with that wave clear, you can just about survive. I think W are going to need the Baron. I think they're going to need that to really put the finishing touches on this game if they're looking to close out. There's a teleport actually really deep from Arla. Cube split off, but maybe this is just a bit too far away. I feel like Cube's too tanky, surely, right? He can just walk out of this. So attempt is kind of thwarted, and walked off now by WE, and they can just look to reposition in the mid lane again.
Tough one. Ala trying to find that flank. But again, WE really, really great read, right? Knowing that they've got Fog to deal with, the rest of the team moves through the jungle as a unit. It's only Cube. It's EDG. They're trying to find their way through the mid lane here, but Shanks and Cube cut the wave off, so there's no objective that they can grab. Hope getting some big damage onto JJ and Ala. There's Dragon spawning in 20 seconds, and EDG want to threaten it, but WE are like, you know what? You can go for the Drake. We're just going to take your base if that happens. They've got supers in the bottom lane.
They'll tank this tower. It's almost low enough. They've got a wave on the top side actually. So either way, EDG are outmaneuvered because they can just kill the tower. It doesn't matter.
EDG, you've forgotten that there's buildings to defend. They've gone for a Drake that's not even soul, and they've lost a mid inhib for it. While Hope pushes the wave at the top side as well. Hung found though, as is Cube. Big shield comes out from him from the stone plate, but he dashes over to the rest of his team. He's still surviving as redemption comes through, and now he's found Mako over the wall as well. Counter redemption for EDG sustain, but 2 inhibs now down, and Baron back on the map for WE.
Yeah, W on this side of the map, they can look to actually take it, and you can see Ala has to answer these super minions, so this is going to be the green flag surely for WE to just start this up, right? Or if they want to look for a reset, I wouldn't blame them either. Don't overreach your bounds, right? Yes, it's a very awkward sequence of play, but you don't want to overreach, you don't want to allow EDG in, and now do EDG just try and counterpunch? It seems like they do, but Hung didn't actually commit the full base, and teleport's coming back in from Cube. Everyone is here from WE minus Shanks, and he's going to make it quite quickly as well.
This is bold from EDG, but I love it. Trying to force the issue. Cube here to answer. He's happy to be that frontline. Mako pulled back in and will just get shredded by Hope. The damage on this Jinx is insane at this point. Fofo, the next target, is Hope. Gale forces forwards. Another pushback from Shanks. Turns going to keep himself safe as well as Alan jumps back in and somehow survives. Dashes away to safety. Cube to follow though, trying to finish this one off. But the feathers come back in and EDG somehow winning the fight. Uzi with the damage, and there's one for JJ as well. EDG of a Spark Baron play, find a way back in.
We said WE didn't want to overreach at the Baron, but they overreach in this side of the jungle and allow EDG back into this game because they walk into a choke against the Xayah. It's a 101 against this champion. The feathers come through and they root up too many members, and now EDG, unless Hung decides to pull off a miracle, are going to secure this Baron. So now it's EDG with the Baron off the back of the space defense with a couple of structures left outside of the base of WE as well, which they can look to pick up. But it's all about this, right? It's Mako getting shoved back in. He gets chunked out and killed off by Hope and the rest of WE. Ala a little bit out of position, but able to reposition. Then it's about Fofo, right? He flashes out. Shanks actually almost found the 3-man armor, but double flash from Uzi and JJ is good. But then it's about this chase down, right? They absolutely burst out Shanks as he's obviously mispositioned off of finding that play. Cube doesn't have the all out, so he can't stop Uzi from doing that and basically removing his health bar. The root also found onto an extra member.
I mean, we were saying that Ivan's not really found its value. That fight right there, Ala surviving right there, there's the Ivan value for you. Yeah. Phenomenal stuff. Oh, Hung on a flank. There was a ward though, he's spotted. He has to back away. EDG with the Baron now. And my God, Jamada, let's just take a second. What a way to start LPL playoffs here. An absolute banger between EDG and WE. We're going all the way in game number 1 here. 35 minutes on the clock. Gold dead even. EDG trying to siege with this Baron. WE do have a good amount of wave clear, and Hung has found his way behind enemy lines. Goes for the ultimate to Uzi, but no follow-up from the rest of the team.
Yeah, there's no pressure from anyone else. That's the issue. EDG, actually, when they look for any plays aggressively like that, WE just were, they really have to attack it with pinpoint precision, because the amount of, again, disengage available to WE does mean that the reality of the situation is if you don't 100-0 the target that you're looking at, they're just going to be healed up, they're going to be shielded. And you could even end up with Shanks in the middle of your team shoving you back in for overreaching for that play in the first place. So really have to be careful as EDG is. I mean, I feel like WE are not being careful on this base defense, right? They just let Fofo take that tier 3 basically for nothing.
Fofo just returned the favor for what WE did to EDG's mid tower earlier. Just walks in and 2 shots to the tower. Now sieging the bottom lane as well. As the bottom inhib tower will fall. Potentially a fight off the back of it as well. Mako on the front line here. Low on HP but surviving. Ivan buying space for the rest of the team with that Daisy. Daisy sacrificed for the play. The poor little golem. No one ever thinks about Daisy's feelings, do they?
Never. Daisy apparently doesn't matter. To the side of EDG for now.
Everyone always asks, where is Daisy? No one ever asks, how is Daisy? Siege to the bottom side, so this goes down. Bottom inhib in trouble, and EDG knocking on the door here as they find an engage. It's on to Hung, he flashes out, Redemption is there, but the Ignite finishes the job. Cubane tanky enough, and the feathers go out as well. There's only one kill so far onto Hung, and I think WE can hold on.
Yeah, they might be able to. 5 members. Where's the wave? They might just get 2 inhibitors, I think, because the supers are pushing in the mid wave. And that bottom lane wave, it's here now, but do they really want to commit? Ala has teleport. I feel like maybe with just Baron fading off, they're going to have to just back away because that wave will get cleared out very quickly. Should just be the case. The dragon's still on the map, by the way. That dragon has been there for at least like 3 or 4 minutes now. So maybe that's the prize EDG will also claim on the back end.
I feel like something's in the water today because LCK started the day with a really long game. And this one is looking similar. EDG get themselves 2 inhibs here. That Drake finally this Drake has been alive for like 10, 15 minutes at this point. Finally taken by EDG. Remember, that's the Drake that EDG were threatening when WE took the mid inhib. That mid inhib respawned a long time ago.
Goodness me, I said 4 or 5 minutes. Maybe it has been longer. EDG will put themselves on Soul Point. Remember that. One individual dragon is going to go the distance. We've seen now that Ivan is starting to have massive shields, right? And obviously the redemption healing is massive. That guy's at 4 items, I think. He's got a component for the 5th as well.
I kind of want to revisit something we said earlier, and that's that EDG don't have like a true tank. But the thing is, when you look at like Mako with Righteous Glory, on top of JJ having all of this sustain, and when you look at the Jax having a Zhonya's, on top of all the sustain from JJ, with Daisy in the mix as well.
Oh my god.
They're a lot tankier than you really give credit to when you first look at the composition.
Yeah, exactly. And the one thing that you would really want to have against like a team with this much shielding as a Serpent's Fang, but no one can really buy that on WE, so
no,
the shielding is going to stay true. Fofo goes from having 3k HP to basically 4 with 1 shield. Oh my goodness me. And that applies to basically everyone. They're getting like a 700, 800 almost shield every time like, JJ presses Ezeki on them.
Sure, you outrange them, but what if all of your damage hits shields? Hung is just going to get shreked. He just gets absolutely rinsed by Uzi and Fofo's damage there. And EDG, are they actually just going to walk this in? After 40 minutes of back and forth slog, they just walk forwards at Hung, finish him off, and now try and end the game. Cube has to try and tank up as the wave is cleared. No Baron for EDG. That does make things harder against the Jinx and the Azir.
Definitely does. WE, what are your answers? Without Hung, without that core bit of engage, EDG know right now that WE are shaky. They're on their back legs. They can be taken out. Ala
flashes forward. That's Counter-Strike on cooldown as well. Rocket, Gale Force, but Ala survives. Mako out as well, and the redemption for sustain. Minions being cleared as Cube forced to flash under the tower. Uzi goes forward, Featherstorm out, but survives for now.
Shanks.
Hope still going too as the Counter-Strike on cooldown. Shanks using the ult to protect the base. Double supers in every lane, but WE hold strong.
They hold strong. EDG, what do they want to do? They're chunked out, they're quite low. Redemption's not there for healing, but they're peeling back towards the Baron because they know if they look for a reset, WE will surely start this one up. Looking to defend it, maybe. WE, remember, the supers are going to start to stack up. Shanks is on the bottom side of teleport. Arla's looking to try and end the game through the top side. He's got the hull breaker as well. So if he's alone, he's going to buff those supers up to basically be unkillable for Shanks.
This
is a problem.
Is crucial. Hung, the only rookie in the lobby, with a miracle on his plate right here. Ala trying to threaten as Shanks goes for the 1v1 onto the enemy Jax. And this is a late game as here. Ala with a counter-strike, but it ain't gonna save you. Shanks with a solo kill as the rest of the team's fighting around the Baron. EDG feels like they have the upper hand here as they push forwards. Hope in trouble. They'll walk away for now. Mako trying to get onto that AD carry. Shanks is just playing tower defense.
He's holding on for dear life for WE inside the base. I like the idea from EDG and from Ala, right? They know if they look for the reset, WE realistically try and just start up the Baron, maybe even take it down with Azir and Jinx. They know that the burn will be absolutely massive. Hung, forced the flash, so EDG still getting summoner spells out here. They're still considering this Baron, right? Daisy, at this stage in the game at level 16, very short cooldown. So yes, it died, but you can see on the left side, it's basically up already. This Baron is being melted. It's 6k, 5k. Hung, can he find it?
It's gone. Uzi takes it and hung in the pit now. Cube low on HP as Shanks TP's in. WE realize this is their last ditch play. Shanks over the wall, but EDG, they can move through the top lane. They can escape this one. And now a TP from Bofo
no.
as he looks to end the game. No TPs available for WE. That's going to be game. And EDG, it's 42 minutes it took him. It was a rough early game, but the late game stands strong. And they take the first one.
Oh my god, what a way to open this series. That was pat nonsense from both sides. 42 minutes. And it's just a game, Joe, where no one has engaged. No one has hard engaged. It's just one form on both sides with all of the shielding and healing. So everyone's just kind of staring at each other. The health bar drops. It goes back up to full. But in the end,